as a young kid, into my teenage years, the fist fights and stuff like that, with, foster kids or other kids in school and whatnot. Yeah, it was bad, but at the same time, we were such a young age and so small that it wasn't detrimental. There was nothing permanent, I guess, about it. Bruised, broken nose, bruised eye, some ego sometimes. But in the days, like working through some of that conflict at a younger age, I think helps transition that and builds confidence as they grow older. It's problem solving. So when they get frustrated, I definitely, when my oldest, when he would get frustrated or needed help, that whole thing like protector, provider, I'd jump in and try to help them. But my other ones, as they've grown up, I've tried to take a step back for a second sometimes and let them develop problem-solving skills and confidence in working through whatever frustrations that may be.
That gift, that opportunity. And it's gnarly to be 18 years old and have to be the one extending that to your father. And I think a lot of us still haven't done that, right? I think there's a lot of men out there who haven't. And I think for you, I mean, this is just my own hearing you share. It's like, that's almost like a rite of passage in its own, of like realizing in this moment, I'm a bit more of a parent. I'm a bit more of like taking responsibility as a man, and I'm going to show you love and unconditional love. And then I'm going to take what I've learned from this and I'm going to go pass that on. And I mean, dude, what a blessing. God gives you 4 boys to then go and get to do that with, to that extent, which is what a beautiful opportunity. With that being said, we talked about it with your son, 17 kind of going off, but what are the couple things that you would want your sons to know at 25 or 30 years old? Like, they're men now. What are the things that you would want them to know? And you're like, yes, these are the things I showed my sons.
One thing is confidence, definitely, in some of their decision makings. I know, especially at 25, there's a bunch of decisions as you transition to that solid adulthood that you have to make. Some are good, some are bad, some are really tough. But it's one of those things that I hope my sons know at 25, know that no matter how difficult it'll be, they're not alone. A lot of men at that age, especially me, I remember sitting there making, I was in college before I joined the Navy. So I joined the Navy at 21. And I was in Iraq, 24, 25. That was my first, one of my first deployments. And just that piece to know that they're not alone as a man in the world. Because a lot of guys struggle with that, like, especially when COVID hit and stuff. A lot of guys were by themselves with their families, and that whole piece of, a lot of people, like I said, the old adage of, hey, be a man, suck it up, only you can count on yourself kind of deal. A lot of the mentality is good to a certain extent, but at the same time, there's definitely a community out there. And that bond with me as their father, I hope they realize that no matter what, if they're sitting there completely overwhelmed, just completely discouraged with whatever they have going on in life, whether it's relationships, jobs, that they should always know that they can count on me for that middle of the night 2-hour phone call. It's something that, like I said, growing up and then transitioning out, I always had that itch, like, man, life sucks right now for some reason, whether it's, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or I'm struggling at my job, or my relationship sucks. My girlfriend just broke up with me. Cause that's about the time, like, stuff, that in high school, it's like, I just go find another girlfriend or whatever, but stacking on top of work and other stressors that actual real life brings to you, it starts getting heavy, and not having somebody to lean on or give that call to. Yeah, the biggest thing, I guess, would be at 25 is like, hey, realize you're not alone. Obviously myself, and I always enjoyed my big brother and my little sister. The sibling aspect is something that I always was like 100% determined to do. I was like, I'll never have a single child. Nothing against people that are single child, growing up, or single child homes. It's just, it's a different type of person that comes from a sibling home. Just the interactions, how they interact with people they just meet, brand new people. Some people, I get it, they can't have more than one kid, which is all right, but extend that family out. Like, everyone's got some type of grandparents or aunts, uncles, and cousins. Keep that group tight, and let them know at the end of the day they're not alone.
Yeah. How have you helped your sons cultivate relationship with each other?
So as they grow, I've tried to let them work through more of their fights together.
Yeah.
Usually, as they initially were interacting with each other, I mean, brothers are brothers. So the good thing is they can go from 1 second being best friends to next second being a fist fight.
Yeah.
But I've tried to shift the focus from trying to stop them immediately. It's one of those things I want to get involved real quick if they're starting to get a heated argument or things are getting kind of out of control. My wife hates it, by the way. She sometimes will get after me. She goes, "Why don't you go do something?" I was like, let's let them try to work and have some conflict resolution and develop that. So I think doing that at a young age helps them at an older age. It's one of those things that as a young kid into my teenage years, the fist fights and stuff like that with foster kids or other kids in school and whatnot. Yeah, it was bad, but at the same time, we were such a young age and so small that it wasn't detrimental. There was nothing permanent, I guess, about it. Bruised, broken nose, bruised eye, some ego sometimes. But in the days, like working through some of that conflict at a younger age, I think helps transition that and builds confidence as they grow older. It's problem solving. So when they get frustrated, I definitely, when my oldest, when he would get frustrated or needed help, that whole thing like protector, provider, I jump in and try to help them. But my other ones, as they've grown up, I've tried to take a step back for a second sometimes and let them develop problem solving skills and confidence in working through whatever frustrations that may be or stuff they really can't figure out. Small things.
Yeah.
Like
you said, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like toys being broken or whatever. Like, hey, my toy's broken. Instead of me immediately trying to fix it for him and say, here you go. It's like, all right, well, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah.
You're going to try to fix it? You're going to throw it away. And he's like, oh, I want you to fix it. It's like, no, what are you going to do about it? So trying to encourage them to be self-motivated and kind of grow within themselves at a young age. So as they get older, because it's just like what some Navy chiefs used to tell me all the time. Like, if you're not working yourself out of a job, you're not doing anybody that's underneath you any justice. And that's kind of same thing with fatherhood. If I'm not working my way out of being needed constantly, then I'm not successful as a father. Like, I don't want him to depend on me and call me when he's 25 because he's out of gas or he got to change his tire. Like, it's one of the things, like at that age, he should be calling me, telling me all the stuff he did accomplish. Like, Dad, I really appreciate you that you forced me to, fill up my own stuff, because their mother's great, but sometimes she'll cater to them. They're like, hey, my juice is empty, and they're sitting on the couch. I was like, dude, go up and fill up your own juice. You're 8, 9 years old, even the 6-year-old too, because he'll like, oh, my legs don't work, and you can go through all the kid stuff that they do. Yeah. I laugh about it, but at the same time, I mean, I don't do it all the time. There's definitely instances where I'm like, all right, I'm closer, whatever, but I've definitely had my kid come down, and from the downstairs, he'll walk to me. I'm standing right next to the refrigerator. He puts his juice cup down. He goes, my juice is empty. And I was like, well, you better go fill it up, bud. The refrigerator's right there. So trying to work some of that stuff that you provide as a younger child because they're incapable, and encouraging their capability and letting them grow as young as I can, so that when they get to that preteen age, 10, 11, 12, 13, I expect them to be a little more independent. And like I said, I'm working myself out of a job of being not a complete father, but some of the stuff you do as a